heard you were coming. We have good contacts on your side of the world. People come to the cemetery and they come to pay their respects. And they talk. And we listen. And we hear everything you say. I'm so glad you could join me for a small chat. I'm waiting for our ladies to show up for lunch. We're going to have a wonderful lunch of river shrimp sandwiches. And then we're going to have an afternoon of bridge. Oh, forgive my manners. My name is Sally Wenzel Dix, but everybody calls me Bonnie. I was born in 1867, just 2 short years after the war. Times were tough. But we had family, we had aunts and uncles and cousins. We had close friends. We still had visitors. But Natchez being Natchez, everybody knew everybody, and so we were all in this together. My family was fortunate. We owned a dry goods store, Rumble and Wenzel, and it was at the foot of Main Street, right on the Bluff. So we relied on the river and the steamboats to bring us our goods from all over the world. And we had perhaps the world's smallest railroad. It was from Silver Street to the top of the Bluff, and it was called Bluff City Rail. Though times were tough and people spoke of the war, we were able to have a good time. We still had parties, we had Mardi Gras balls, we still had horse racing. I love the ponies. We still had steamboat races, we had hot air balloons. We even had a pro baseball team called the Natchez Locals, although they were not really local. I used to love to have card parties. I still like to play cards. We had a card game called Euchre. It's kind of out of favor now. Most people don't really know about it, but our young set really liked to play it, and we would take turns having card parties at each other's homes because it didn't cost us much money and it was a great time to socialize. But it all wasn't fun and games. In 1887, I was elected with 40 other ladies to be on the Confederate Cemetery Association. And these ladies were selected from the different religious denominations in the city. And our mission was to look forward to having this cemetery for future generations. And I think if you'll look at the rolling hills of the cemetery, the beautiful headstones, the wonderful ironwork, the location on our beloved Mississippi River, I think you'll agree that this is one of the most beautiful cemeteries in the world. And we're so happy that the current generation is taking such good care of the cemetery, and so we thank you for coming to support it. In 1890, I married David Miller Dix. He was a fine man. He was a good provider. We had a good, long marriage. His father was mayor of Natchez during the war, and he in fact surrendered Natchez to the Union Army. Now, Mr. Dix used to love to tell the story of General Grant riding his horse up the steps of Rosalie to make sure that Natchez knew that this was now Union territory and that Grant was in charge. Now, I know people in Natchez don't like to say good things about General Grant, but Mr. Dix said General Grant was always a perfect gentleman. In 1909, President Taft came down the river headed to New Orleans for a convention, but he stopped here in Natchez, and he brought with him cabinet secretaries, congressmen, foreign dignitaries, people of all political stripes. And they stopped here and had a big rally. It caused so much commotion and it was so exciting, and we were so honored to have the President of the United States stop here in our beautiful city. It's a day I'll never forget. I lived in such interesting times. I lived in such a time of change, such a time of progress. We went from gas lights to electric lights. We went from horse and buggy to automobiles. We went from the telegraph to the telephone. These were unimaginable changes, but I got to witness it. it was exciting to see the world moving forward. And in 1932, I joined my husband David, my son David, and my daughter Emma here in this cemetery. And my name is Sophie Wenzel Ballard Conroy, and Sally Wenzel Dix was my great grandmother.